morning glory. Say there, stop that yawning. A brand new day is dawning. Pull up the shade and let the sun come through. Good morning glory. Spend about an hour underneath a shower and keep on singing like the birdies do.
Books of the Week is a show that we put on this very network here in Cedarburg, Wisconsin, and we invite someone named Steve Donahue, who is a book critic in Boston, and this is a library. It's a library radio station, and I want to show you a still from yesterday here at the library. It's pretty exciting. What I like is he says, when I read these 3 novels, I'll be able to conquer the world, and I think that we're here to prove that. So, Steve Donahue, our esteemed book critic, good morning and good day.
Good morning, everybody.
Very
Sorry
exciting.
for our absence last week. I had a house guest, and that threw everything off. And so I did what you would expect. I fired my producer.
He also fired his house guest, which is really interesting. He can't stop. He just walks around. You and you. Clean out your locker. Well, what do we do on this wacky show? We like to talk about new arrivals, primarily, new releases. And we have a wonderful new arrival shelf rack area here in the Cedarburg Public Library. And Steve, which is wonderful, has read all of them. When you go to the new arrivals wall and you point to one, just know that Steve read it. So there we go. Oh, how we all want his life. But we start with a
that depends on what the new releases are like, doesn't it?
I think that
threatening thunder I heard on the horizon.
Now see here, you behave today, sir.
You know that Esther in marketing said, when you boys are positive, the numbers are through the roof. So you're going to have to send her a bunt cake of some kind. Because I don't know what you picked for the wild card segment, but there's no positivity otherwise. I've gone back to my natural habitat of evisceration.
It's not going to go well. We actually have consolation prizes for everybody. You're all going to get the hot dogger. Has caused only a few fires in America. I'll have you know. Anyway, let's start with nonfiction. Steve, let's burn it down. What you got?
Yeah, the consolation prize. One of our main stars would describe it poorly, and the other one would wait until everybody needed it and then lie about having it.
Must be 2024 America. What you got?
Can't I just spend the whole episode going?
You can.
Our non-fiction pick is War by the formerly once revered Bob Woodward.
Yeah,
one half of the journalistic team that brought down the Nixon administration.
Right. He hasn't been nearly as effective this time around.
Yeah, Bob Woodward was one half of the journalistic team that brought down the Nixon administration by fearlessly revealing the Watergate papers and the Watergate scandal in the 1980s. Oh, wait, no, they didn't reveal it then, did they? They revealed it when it would do the public any effing good to reveal it. Guess those days are gone. This is Bob Woodward's basically torn from the headlines, Suetonius's 12 Caesars account of what's been going on behind the scenes in the last 20 months.
Yeah.
In American politics. So the Biden administration, but also the Trump shadow administration, which is not only fraudulent, but entirely illegal, and Vice President Harris launching a campaign for president when Joe Biden did something that only one other president in my lifetime has ever done, and simply walked away from the incumbency.
Yeah. Right.
I'm not going to do it. The previous one did it because he knew he couldn't win, and Lyndon Johnson had Vietnam hanging over his neck, so he knew he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
This is technically the same move on Biden's part, but it is actually unprecedented for an incumbent president to say, no, I think it would be better for the country if I stepped aside.
Yeah.
That's Johnson was thinking it would be better for him, of course.
I think they were just tired of Major the dog biting everybody. That was, I think.
Major didn't bite everybody.
Oh,
I had a theory about this. I put it on social media, and I said,
did you?
Dogs are extremely good, especially big guard dog types, working dogs, are extremely good at sensing hostility towards their owner, even when that hostility is being masked by the human who feels it. So as I put on social media and as I stand by, check into the Trump sympathies of the Secret Service agents who were bit.
Ooh,
We're all bit.
the major files. I like this.
I can almost guarantee you that they were bit, that the ones that were bitten for a reason.
Excellent. I love it.
And considering that it's Trump sympathies that we're talking about, the best of reasons. I myself would have bitten them.
Actually, yes, I think you would have.
And I'm not saying that War by Woodward doesn't make gripping reading. It does. I don't know if that's Woodward or his co-writer, who ought to be ashamed of himself, but it makes gripping reading. I'm assuming that this thing has a waiting list.
Oh, indeed. Yeah, absolutely it does. Yep, that's a good season for that sort of thing. If I'm not mistaken, does it use as a framework the are you having major problems over there?
Many minor problems.
You're right. They frame it with Ukraine and Israel. Is that, I mean, because with the title war, is that the kind of
Ukraine, Israel, Russia? Yeah.
Okay.
They frame it with those things. This is, in other words, it's Woodward's attempt to underscore the fact that President Biden has not had an easy plate to deal with. I maintain that aside from strained public appearances, he's not as young as he once was. I maintain that he's made it look easy, but it hasn't been easy at all. Not only Russia's ongoing land grab, World War I style invasion of a free country, a free ally, totally inexcusable, totally illegal, has made Russia a pariah state.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that. You especially can't do that and then coerce the leader of that embattled nation into a press conference in which you say it takes two to tango. That's what a mob boss does.
Right.
That's not what a president does.
Right.
Biden's had a tough row to hoe on that subject. And then on top of that, you have what Biden's firm ally, Benjamin Netanyahu, and his government have been doing in Gaza and now Lebanon.
Yeah. And soon Iran.
It's what do you do if an ally of yours suddenly does something like that? I mean, Israel is attacked by terrorists on October 7th. Lots of loss of life, lots of atrocity, and hostages taken. Indeed. That is terrible. No. And for a while, the whole international community rallied around Israel because that is terrible. That is a 9/11 style attack. Right. Of course, any president of the United States, except for the last one, would immediately voice sympathy for that.
The other doesn't do that much.
The last president would have said, well, it would never have happened to me. I would have been caught with my pants down like that. Right. A totally sociopathic response. But the President Biden, what are you going to do except offer our sympathy and, of course, unconditional support? Yeah. But when the United States offers its unconditional support to Israel, it's not offering Hallmark cards. It's offering billions of dollars of weapons that Israel can't afford on its own.
Which Hallmark's not into that business, but wouldn't that be interesting if they were?
Although, not to make the stream too macabre right off the bat, but the nice thing about a Hallmark card is that although they mass produce the sentiment, you get to personalize it by signing it. Yes. And there are plenty of other sociopaths who have signed bombs going into Gaza.
Absolutely.
There is nothing there's no way to describe that other than sociopathy. That happens on Biden's watch. Okay, you have a fairly straightforward playbook to respond, but what has Israel done since then?
They've been very busy.
Is an unbelievably, toweringly evident, gigantic, almost unprecedented war crime. Yeah. You don't bomb hospitals. You don't kill 40,000 children. Burn hospital patients alive in their beds, no matter how many hostages are still alive. Right. The only reason that you got the votes of sympathy in the first place is because the world was acknowledging that you are not like the barbarians who made the attack on October 7th. Right. If you're then going to spend the next year proving that's not true, what does an American president do?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is an American president supposed to do, or an American presidential candidate? Vice President Kamala Harris has had a terrible line to walk there.
Oh,
saying,
awful tightrope. Awful tightrope. I mean,
we pledge our support to Israel. We want the hostages returned, but we don't want a wide-scale loss of innocent civilian life.
Yeah.
The Netanyahu government's stance on this could not be clearer. They have not quite come out and said it, but their stance could not be clearer, which is that there are no innocent Palestinians.
Yeah.
At any age, even in the womb.
Yep.
And that's a tough line for a president, a U.S. president, to handle, to get behind. You can't.
Yeah. Speaking of signatures, I mean, good Lord. I mean,
you don't want a president or a presidential candidate to ever say anything like that an entire group of people is condemned by their genetics.
Yeah.
You don't want a presidential candidate to say that a whole group of people kills people because they have bad genes. You don't want to be saying Nazi stuff like we've got bad genes in the country. You don't want
you wouldn't want to say that, no.
You wouldn't want to say that.
We would never on this show. So we'll say a lot on this show. We wouldn't say that.
You might think that given all this, and given that it's ripped from the headlines reporting, and that Woodward has unbelievable sources, he's always had unbelievable sources, he knows how to cultivate them, that I wouldn't have an objection to this book. And yet I do. I have an objection to this book, which has nothing to do with the Netanyahu government. It has nothing to do with Zelensky or anything like that. It has to do, of course, with Trump.
Yeah.
And it's the same objection that cost Bob Woodward all of my admiration that I held for 50 years, and made me think of him as a money-grubbing whore.
Yeah.
Which is that he took damning details, and waited on them. Kept himself to make a book.
Yeah.
The only reason we're talking about this now is because he, like clockwork, his PR team and his publisher have started releasing those details little bit by bit into the public. That General Mark Milley says that Donald Trump is fascist to the core.
To the core.
A threat to the United States of America. Bob Woodward could have said that a year ago.
Yeah.
He could have said that 2 years ago, and he didn't do it. This is the war is a smaller version of the enormous, I would say, accessory crimes that he committed about his COVID book with Trump.
Yeah.
Where he talked with Trump a year before the book came out, and Trump said, "Oh yeah, I'm lying to the public. This stuff's deadly. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near it." It's
Right.
In public,
I'm crazy.
His people were believing him. They were listening to him. He was president of the United States. I know it might seem like a bad taco dream, but he was president of the United States. People were listening to him. And Woodward knew for a fact on tape that he was lying. Did Woodward hold a press conference when he could have saved tens of thousands of American lives? No, he didn't do that. Why? Because a press conference wouldn't have been good for his book sales.
Right. You know that we're about to eat that taco again, Steve. Just so you know. In fact, I think we're going to eat this stuff. We're going to have Wham. It's going to be a Wham dream. I don't feel very good about that.
You're too young to remember that. I remember those ads.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
It was the government vainly, futilely trying to rebrand spam.
You just change a consonant and it's all different. You know, would you agree that maybe Woodward? I always believe, as a movie fan, I would always believe that the power of Hollywood corruption. I think the minute Dustin Hoffman played him in a movie, I wonder if that was it. I wonder if that was just like, oh, this feels good. You know,
I always think about the movie Dick, where Woodward are mercilessly sent up as raving egomaniacs and doing slow disco walks through the newsroom. They're just mercilessly.
Such a good movie. No one ever remembers. That's a
no one ever remembers it, and it's just live.
I think it was too much.
When one of the starstruck teenage girls, she develops weirdly a romantic fixation on Richard Nixon, and when she does a romantic dream about him, they're walking on the beach in San Clemente. He's suit on with his shoes getting sand in them. Only he's got a pony.
Right. Folks, you get a free movie recommendation this week too. Go hunt out Dick. It's not a loaded statement, by the way. So there we are. So war,
not a recommend.
Yeah.
Not because it's not true. I'm sure that everything in here would stand up to vetting, but because it
Yeah.
is a vile book. It is Woodward proving that he is a horrible American.
Yeah.
Which I'm sorry, I know that sounds very old-fashioned, but that means something to me. He's proving that he's a horrible American. It's proving that he will sell out the wealth and worth of his country for money, for his own.
I was going to say that actually, but a lot of Americans will see what you just said as being a perfect American.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
when selling out the well-being of your country for your personal bank account is what the original American trader did, and it's what all the others have done.
Yeah. War is available, everybody.
They're not going to be able to do that in this episode, unless maybe the wild cards. We're not going to do that.
Hey, what's nice is everyone's really pleased with Steve's assessment.
Come on. We had a few episodes where you were trying your best to keep a muzzle on the Wolverine. We were trying to be positive.
We're done with that.
We're done with this. If you people who are watching and listening, if you say you owe us a positive episode, we'll do a positive episode.
Sure.
The A block and B block here around are just bloodletting. War is a travesty.
Yeah.
Woodward ought to be ashamed of himself, not for writing it, but for not doing a press conference on its important points a year ago.
Yeah. Absolutely. If you want a positive episode from us, there's a way of doing that. You can hustle on over to patreon.com/books of the week. Drop a few coins in there with a message that says, boys, I love you, but I'm going to need some positivity in my life. So we will respond in kind, I'm sure.
Keep in mind, we'll respond to your messages for Patreon because we're needy nerds who weren't allowed to the cool kids table in high school. The money actually goes to the friends of the library. You're not bribing us. We just want your approval desperately.
Oh, I was at the cool table right here. Mom and I
told you over and over again that isn't the cool table. I've also told you over and over again that she doesn't count as a date to the prom.
Oh. Well, I'm scared. All right. Speaking of fear, let's move our way over to the fiction department and see what Steve's Ginsu knives will run through today.
Yes. If the A block stood for awful, then the B block stands for blows chunks.
Help!
Our fiction section is Intermezzo by Sally Rooney.
Oh, we got to talk about this one. I'm fascinated by this whole thing, and I don't know much about her outside of the fact that she's young and tortured or something. I don't know. Or torturing us.
The Republic of Ireland is now the Republic of Sally Rooney, and that London renamed Heathrow Airport as Sally Rooney Row Airport, and how there's a Sally Rooney Awards and a Sally Rooney Boulevard, and the Big Dipper, a famous and age-old constellation in the sky, is now the Big Rooney.
I like her better. Why is she so beloved? What's going on, man?
Because she's easy. She's beloved for the same reason that anyone who's ever beloved
so
is
she.
Well, she's got some nutritional value. Right. Sally, people always want to say, including, I have to say, Dwight Garner letting crusty old dinosaurs everywhere down in the New York Times, saying that this is a worthwhile author. Oh my God. A front page notice of her latest book, Intermezzo, by Dwight Garner, who ought to know better. He just ought to know better.
He probably wants to get away from the cool. He wants to get out of the cool kids table.
She is easy. That's why she's popular, because she's easy.
Oh. I mean, are we talking Colleen Hoover easy? Or what are we talking about here?
Well, no. There's easy and then there's laxative. No, we're not talking Colleen Hoover easy. Although we're definitely at the same degrees away on the spectrum. And her highfalutin fans, and I guess I have to count Dwight as one of them, would say they're on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Right.
Would say there's nothing similar to them at all. That Colleen Hoover doesn't know what this is. I don't know all this literature. No, they're the same thing. It's just Sally Rooney has a fewer adjectives. That's all. She writes contemporary novels that feature star-crossed or unsatisfied romances.
Yes. Colleen
God
Hoover.
help you anywhere in the world of literature if you call her a romance novelist. God help you if you do that. No.
Sure.
She's a serious writer. As if romance writers aren't serious. It's just they don't put on these stupid airs that she does.
Yeah.
Her latest book is called Intermezzo. And when I only saw publicity for it, when I didn't even have a galley of it, I saw publicity of it, and I saw that there was some sort of chess motif.
There, yeah. Mm-hmm.
My blood ran cold. My transplanted rhesus monkey heart skipped a beat, which it's medically guaranteed not to do. Because a chess motif in fiction is when an author has started to believe their own press clippings.
Yes. Yeah.
And she's got the mother of all press clippings. I'm sorry, I'm still traumatized by Dwight Garner at the New York Times calling this a serious book. I'm still traumatized by that. We have a union. We pay dues, us crusty old horses. We're not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to fall for fads. That's all that Colleen Hoover. That Colleen is a massive fad.
Yeah.
This latest book, main characters are two brothers.
Brothers,
Peter
yeah.
is the older and Ivan is the younger. They are two brothers. Ivan is considerably younger than Peter. There's a gap in the brothers' age. And Peter his girlfriend is Naomi. And she's really young. She's really young. She's a lot younger than he is, and she's kind of feckless and kind of nihilistic and TikTok-y.
Yeah.
Ivan is a woman who's almost twice his age. Margaret is much older than he is. Do you get it?
Oh boy.
Do you get it? Man. I tell you, this is one gimmick. It's gonna play in the You see, the older brother has a very much younger girlfriend, and the younger brother has a very much older girlfriend. Do you get it?
Oh
Should
boy.
I go over it again? Why don't I go over it again?
Oh boy. But within all that, and the chess motifs, clearly there's something very important being said about the human condition, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Try it
that,
here.
That love is like, I don't know. And
Careful.
You're waiting for a contemporary author to say, like, I don't know, and then say something.
Now that's love.
What Sally Rooney does is not either say or have her characters say, love is like, and then come up with something.
Sure.
No. Instead, love is like,
She's ellipses. She left us with ellipses.
Off stage to the bank.
Oh no! Oh, that's disappointing.
Her novels are carved out of solid blocks of 21st century nihilistic anomie. It's like she's from modern day Tokyo writing these things on her phone. That's all that comes out of modern day Tokyo is carved out of blocks of 21st century nihilistic anomie.
Gosh. So by saying nothing at all, she said everything. Is that the approach here?
What are we supposed to get out of these stories? Is there a satisfactory conclusion to Peter's romance with Naomi? I don't know. She wants him to kind of lighten up a little, except in bed. She doesn't want him to lighten up in bed, but in bed he wants to lighten up. He doesn't want to lighten up in bed. He wants to be a little bit stricter in bed because we people have standards. We older people have standards. I know his generation. They don't. And Ivan is maybe being matured by the mature older woman that he's being with. They're amazed that they're finding true love, but do they find true love? Do they?
I have bad news for Ms. Rooney. I used to watch Cinemax at like 2 a.m, and the same plot would be used, but it was much more scintillating because no one were wearing clothes.
If you have watched the Cinemax original 2 cable movie at 2 a.m, you have read every Sally Rooney novel that she's ever going to write, unless she gets hit by a falling piano.
Oh, gadzooks. Wow. This sounds easy. Writers out there, listen closely. Take notes to Steve because this ain't hard. Wow. She's the it girl right now. She is the it girl.
Yeah. The amazing thing is, though, there are other it girls. Colleen Hoover, who we've talked about on this channel, is an it girl. The amazing trick that she has pulled off is to be an it girl for the people who say they have no truck with it girls. To be an it girl for literary poobahs. I guess I'm the last one to fall. I'm the Dwight Garner has
Day's
fallen.
not over, Steve.
I'm the last one who's out there pointing out this is junk. This is junk. This is really, really poorly written junk. You are reading a Mills and Boon romance. Only you aren't reading a Mills and Boon romance with the conviction of a Mills and Boon romance. Harlequin romance writers have conviction. They have work ethic. They will make sure that you get your dollar's worth.
Absolutely, they will.
This, no.
Oh boy,
no, not at all.
Oh boy, oh boy,
and
oh boy.
The chess parts of it, every bit as bad as I thought. Oh my God, every bit as bad as I thought. Chess bloviating from someone who's never played chess.
Oh no, I read a review. It might have been Booklist or Kirk. It probably wasn't Kirkus. About someone said, "Oh, the chess moments are so well realized."
They've all lined up. All of them have Booklist, Library Journal, Kirkus, Publishers Weekly. They've all lined up. Everybody has. No one sees it. I go through these things periodically, where I will be saying for a whole decade, what are all of you talking about? Karl Ove Knausgaard is absolute garbage. Why
He's got a new one too, by the way. You're having a good time over there, aren't you, Steve? You're in hell.
But you know what happens? Because I've been going through this for a long time. You readers, maybe you viewers, or maybe don't know this. I've been going through this. I've been the one sane voice for a long time. You know what happens down the line that doesn't get any headlines? 20 years later, the surviving literary poobahs, the ones who haven't gone to their graves and gone into business, not that there's much difference between them, will quietly publish an op-ed in the Journal or the Times saying, I don't know what I was thinking. It really isn't any good. And do I ever get mentioned in those op-eds? No, I never do. Never. No one ever writes a long think piece in the Atlantic about, well, what were we thinking about Elena Ferrante? She's only just good. She's not great for the second coming. And you know who said that the whole time? You know who threw calzones at me when I went to his house? It was a critic named Steve Donahue. He was the only one. Does anyone ever say that? No. Has anyone ever said that about the lone critic saying, Mailer, Updike, Roth, they're all garbage. What are you people talking about? Has anyone ever said that? No. Instead, you get these very delicate think pieces going back, revisiting Mailer. He's really not good, is he? When one critic had his hair on fire all through the 70s saying exactly that. You mention his name, he's still alive. Despite all the wine and calzone, still alive. You could mention his name.
I've seen your fan club, Steve. It looks like this. I mean, what do you expect?
Just in case viewers or listeners out there want to save themselves some trouble, I was right in the 60s, I was right in the 70s, I was right in the 80s, and I'm right now. Sally Rooney is a massive emperor has no literary ability fraud.
Yeah.
More than anything else. What are the rest of you people thinking? Now go ahead and tell me about the waiting list.
Not as big as you'd think. She does not have a lot of legs out here in Cedarburg. So yeah, it's fine, but it's not off the charts. I think it's only fine because I believe they adapted her prior book into a movie, which has a lot of if someone's like, oh, it was a nice movie with those pretty actors, so they'll be like, oh, and this will be, although I've already had one person go up to me and say, where are the quotation marks? That's how the Irish do it. I don't know.
There are two strands of Irish storytellers. Okay. One was infected by Beckett and Joyce, and the other wasn't.
Yeah. It's not hard, folks.
Yeah.
It's one keystroke.
Telling great stories. The other just carried on telling great stories. Frank O'Connor, Mary Lavin, Elizabeth Bowen just carried on telling great stories. And the other thought, let's F around. Yeah? And if anybody calls us on it, we'll just say British imperialism.
Well, that was easy. Yeah. That worked out
all
well.
you viewers out there, if you're thinking about getting on a list for Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, there are brightly colored Regency romance novels in the supermarket. There, I'm sure the library has some.
Upstairs, definitely.
The type of book that those readers say, I would never be caught dead reading such a thing. Take one of them and read it. It's the same thing, but it doesn't have any pretensions of being anything else. And also it's better done. You will like it. You might even find a whole new genre to read.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's a summation of Steve's two selections this week.
Yes. The A block and the B block have nothing. It's War by Bob Woodward, and it's Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. There are two that are being talked about. They're mowing down critics who should be your guardians against this kind of crap. And Bob Woodward belongs in the dock. As far as I'm concerned, he's an accessory to tens of thousands of COVID deaths.
Yeah.
His new book is no better. No better at all. This presidential race is it's a coin toss. It's a hair split.
Yeah.
Between a normal, what I would have called once upon a time a moderate Republican, and a laboring lunatic who sways on stage for 39 minutes and wants to turn the country into dictatorship. And the reason that it's so close is in large part because of people like Bob Woodward.
Yeah. I think I'm going to be a millionaire soon, though, because I dance exactly the same way as Trump. Just so you know, I have the same moves. It's the only similarity, I think.
A block is a travesty. The B block is if there's anything worse than a travesty. No idea.
Can I save the show with a wild card section?
You save the show, please.
Let's find out. Probably not.
I'm just sure because no one has ever turned around and said you were right. There are critics alive from those days. Dwight Garner's one of them. No one's ever turned around and said you were right. I'll write the think piece. What were we all thinking about Updike? There's really not much here, is there? If only someone had known at the time. No one ever mentions me.
Well, maybe if you didn't, walk around town with this on your face, it would go a lot better for you.
You're fixated on that thing, aren't you?
We have to.
Once again, for you viewers who are watching, it's not a nose warmer.
If it goes any lower than your chin, you're doing it wrong. Hey, you know what we got going on here in Cedarburg, Steve? You should come out. We should fly you out for this, but we don't have a budget. So it's a book called Death in the Dark Woods by Annalise Ryan, which I love. And we're doing it for our something called Cedarburg Reads, which is where we try to get the whole town reading.
Yeah.
We're getting there. And
try to get the whole town reading one book, the same book, a book chosen by
others. A very astute gaggle, a star chamber that you nor I are invited to.
See, it's not just that I want to extend my dark hand over books of the week. It's that I want control of Cedarburg. Yes, exactly. I thought you were going to call up the demon from Night on Bald Mountain. Because that's what I want to do. I want to extend the shadow of my hand over every park, every building in Cedarburg.
By the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes.
Yeah, someone else chose this book, but it is quite enjoyable.
It's a fun book.
It is quite good.
Absolutely. Cryptid fun, a cozy mystery. They call it a cozy. I actually interviewed the author yesterday, which was exciting. And she was an ER nurse for like 50 years. When you think of cozy mysteries, this is a little grislier than what you would normally expect.
I wish that I could interview her. Apparently I don't rate. But she has done something that I believe she is the first to do, which is to take the cozy sensibility and realize that it's not dependent on the cozy staples.
Yeah.
Which
Absolutely.
is really, I thought, until I read this book, I thought it is dependent. You need a small town. You need a pointless murder.
Right.
You need character to drive the plot, character quirks to drive the plot instead of wondering if you're going to detect the murderer.
Yeah.
You need all of those things to make a cozy mystery.
Right.
No, it turns out you don't. Because, you're reading the book, right? Or you've read it?
I read it, yeah. Absolutely.
The cozy vibe stays true.
It does, but what's awesome, but there's extra stuff. I told her yesterday, it's like, it's either cozy, we made a new genre, it's cozy plus, or it's gory cozy. I'm not sure how that works, but a lot of fun.
Really good book. Any of you out there would love it. It's just a universal recommend. So
Annalise will be in town. We're bringing her in for an author talk. Yeah, she'll be in our.
Are you really?
Community room next
Where?
week. We'll be in the next door there, that room behind this wall. So yeah,
behind the wall with the Jack Hankey shine.
I'm a dead man. So let's do this.
You can't fly me in.
Well, she lives in Door County, so No planes are involved with this one.
I was going to save this for a surprise, but now so do I.
Oh.
I thought you needed closer supervision.
We wouldn't know your background's the same. I've got something interesting here called Boy Mom. You aware of this?
I am not.
Reimagining boyhood in the age of impossible masculinity. Now, of course, you and I scoff at the idea of impossible masculinity, but it's an interesting
I'm
topic.
aware of the book. I'm aware of if its pub material and its description, but I haven't read it mainly because I know it's going to infuriate me.
Mm-hmm.
It's the masculinity that's being described in the book is not impossible. What the title would mean is the masculinity we've made impossible by threatening you on social media. By threatening you on that, and that makes for a really long title. So you don't want to do that. The author tries, I'm assuming from the descriptions that I've read, the author's trying to thread the needle and say that not all masculinity is toxic masculinity, but plenty of it is, and that we've got to learn a new kind of masculinity.
It seems like she's trying to walk both sides of the.
Yeah, but she's not going to be able to do it any more than any other Twitter slacktivist can do it. There, she's going to end up by chapter 2 saying that all masculinity is toxic masculinity, and that's not true.
Yeah,
that's not true. And I've had to put up with this for the last 6 years. Of course, the term toxic masculinity has gone mega viral. So it's impossible now for you to legitimately talk about ways in which men can be men without being told by 12 psychos on Twitter that you're everything that's wrong in the world and that you're, say it with me now, literally worse than Hitler. That's not helping anything. It's not true. Men and women are different, but I haven't read the book. Maybe she does thread the needle.
Never know.
No idea.
Available here. All right. So it is Halloween season. I grabbed 2 with books that might be deemed spookier. I don't know much about them. Maybe Steve does. I like the cover. This is something called Devil Kills Devils. You familiar with this? Johnny Compton. Yeah, it looks pretty wild. I don't know much about it.
What's the description? Read the description.
Absolutely, I will do that. We have, what's an easy one too? Sarita has been watched over by a guardian angel her entire life. She calls him Angelo and keeps him a secret, but some secrets won't stay hidden. When Angelo murders someone she loves, Sarita begins to see what horrors have really been lurking in the shadows surrounding her, and she will have to embrace the evil within if she hopes to come out alive. Johnny Compton, author of the Bram Stoker Award-nominated The Spite House, which you might be familiar with, I don't know, takes you on a terrifying race of one woman against the hordes of hell. Hordes! Hordes, I tell you.
Oh, 2 things. Number one, why is it that this show continues to be a hidden secret? Some secrets can't be hidden. We seem to do a fine job of it. And number 2, I swear, you started producing the jacket copy. Is there nothing you can't produce? I mean, that author ought to pay you to read that on radio.
Music up full.
It's less of a wonder to me that you managed to make me look presentable. If you can do that and just cover copy that you're reading cold.
Become Roger Rabbit, though, unfortunately, too. Please. Yeah, so I don't know. It's all there. Devil Kills Devils. Again, the perpetrators of Sally Rooney praise also praise this one, so I don't know if that's worth the wait.
You can gather from the description that her guardian angel is actually a devil.
Yeah, I'm a devil. Yeah.
That by the time she realizes that, he has become so fond of her that he is willing to oppose other devils.
Sure. Yes.
That's kind of a neat premise if that's
fun.
true.
Could be fun. It's a quickie too. It's actually a quite thin little thing, and I might put it on my roster. I'll report back and I'll let you know. This I was attracted to because of my 12 years in the Betamax and VHS rental business in the 80s and 90s. This is something by a guy named Jimmy Giuliano, and it's called Dead 11. And it's chillingly creepy, apparently. And R.L. Stine says, "You have been warned." So I don't know if this has crossed your desk, but here it is. Have I done it again?
No, I was thinking you could use that R.L. Stine blurb for both the Woodward book and the Rooney.
But no one listens to Steve. They'll listen to R.L. Stine.
On that tirade again. If you come here to Hyde Cottage for wine and calzones, I go on that tirade but I don't have to go on it again. I'm just going to say I'm not the lone voice of opposition. That's not the full sentence. I'm the lone voice of opposition who is inevitably proven right. I have not read this book, so we're not doing well for the wild
too well. No. This should be fun. I'm intrigued by this person. She is tossing books out as fast as I inhale donuts. So, think about that for a while. Why don't you? This is almost like the suspense thriller version of Colleen Hoover, I want to say. We haven't talked about her yet on the show, which seems wrong. This is Frida McFadden.
Boy, oh boy.
And boy, is she a Fadden. Mm-hmm. What's going on, Steve?
I've only read one of her books. I read The Teacher. Right here. And I thought it was a competent thriller. I don't understand why. I mean, there wasn't anything particularly wrong with it.
Right. Yeah.
I don't understand that. I mean, I'm happy for her. At least she's not a fraud.
I think The Housemaid was her big, breakthrough book. Apparently.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone dug that.
Housemaid as well.
Yeah.
These are supermarket thrillers. They're really, she has a new one, right? She has a brand new.
Early.
There's a brand new book this month, I think.
Yeah.
Called The Boyfriend. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I got it upstairs. I got like 5 upstairs, for God's sakes.
Is she popular?
Huge.
Oh, really?
I can't keep her. No. And they're cheap. No problem.
These are I think I did read The Housemaid, so I've probably read 2. But the fact that I can't accurately remember, I'll have to tell you. I remember the marginalia that I wrote in books in 1961. I can't remember whether or not I read them. I just remember that it was competently done. It's not beautifully done, but it's not. She doesn't drop any balls. And as long as she doesn't put on airs, great. Read her instead of reading.
I saved the show, Frida. The name Frida, of course, has special meaning for you anyway. But Frida and I have saved the show.
Although I might an author who's just good. The library is full of authors who are good, really good, great. If you read one of her books and you think, that was okay, and then you ask me, I know already, ask me in 6 weeks, I won't remember anything about this book. Well, if you're reading an author like that, maybe I have to read authors like that, but you don't.
Expand out, yeah.
Right. Maybe pick something better, like the first book in the wild card segment, which is significant. It's not. It doesn't put on airs, but it will. It's something new and interesting.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and there's when it comes to just even tightly wound thrillers. Trust me. Ask me at the desk. I will give you the tour. So, and we'll get you. You'll take something home that will send chills down your spine. So. That is our wild card this week, and that is our show this week. My gosh, what a show! It's great. I have a cold, but I feel fantastic.
I didn't say anything in the pre-show. In the pre-show, ladies and gentlemen, he sounded absolutely horrible, and he was telling me I sound terrible. It's all lodged in my throat. It's just junk in my throat. It's not serious. And I was cooing and eyeing and saying, "Oh, blah blah blah." I was saying that out loud, but in my head, I was thinking, the minute the recording button goes on, that's going to change, because I've known old stage hoofers like this guy before, and nothing stops it. I guarantee you that when we stop recording, the frog will come back. But on camera, nope. He's born to be on camera.
It's amazing that a Jewish person could be so much of a ham.
He's born to be on camera with me. No one else forever.
All right, Mr. Dark. By the way, if you like Dark and Cougar's Pandemonium Carnival here, that's just what we do weekly. You can go to patreon.com/books of the week. We like to raise a little bit of money for something called the Friends of the Cedarburg Public Library that makes all of this happen. They have book sales. We have some information.
Also, one of the friends moonlights as a cryptid haunting cabins.
This week especially. Don't shoot. We need them.
We need all the friends in the library that we can get. Don't shoot. If you see one of them creeping around your cabin at night, donate.
That's all they're looking for. They're looking for your shekels. They just want to shake you down a little bit. So,
and you let us know if you want an upbeat show next week. Why do I have the feeling that our bloodthirsty viewers are going to say no? The more negative, the better. Why do I have a feeling they're going to do that?
Leonard Cohen, you like it darker? All right. The dude abides. I'm losing it.
Yeah,
Have a good week.
We're getting close to sign off, so the frog is coming back.
I hate it when they figure me out. All right, folks. Have a great reading week. Steve, you have an even better reading week, and we will see you here next week. Take care. Bye-bye. Where's my lozenge? Where's